Hi everyone. As usually, I have failed into my duties at starting the show at the appropriate hour. But unfortunately, I'm a little bit sick today, a little bit cold. For some reason, in my infinite wisdom, when I decided to move house, I also decided to give away all of my winter clothing towards needy people. And winter took me by surprise. Didn't expect these very low temperatures in September. Went outside a little bit and I got quite sick. So hopefully, I'll manage to go through this in order to keep you guys entertained. See, I got the layman M in my channel. But anyway, there was a Friday for Future demonstration full of commies and Antifa. Was this in Romania? Huh? Fridays for Future. Speaking of Antifa, apparently Greta, the child activist, totally independent activist, totally not supported by major PR companies and multi-million dollar parents, was caught wearing an Antifa t-shirt. And there was major backlash against her, and she said that, oops, I didn't realize that what Antifa stands for. This is a t-shirt that a friend of mine gave. It's like interesting friends you have. Imagine if someone were to wear a shirt with a far right symbol and say, "Oh, this see, it's just a friend of mine that gave me this. It's just a friend of mine." But anyway, right. So we're going to talk a little bit about Trudeau. We're going to talk a little bit about Islam. Someone said that all of my 46 fans are listening. I just started the stream. It's usually going to go a little higher. I'm not very popular, which is the way I like to keep it. I notice channels that get way too popular, they attract all sort of unwanted attention, and I'm not a greedy fellow. If I were to blast a couple of jokes here and there, I'm pretty sure I would be able to rise up in popularity. But let's be honest, I don't want to partake in the new cancel culture and be a player like Trudeau is. But a lot of people don't understand that Trudeau is not a player; he is the one that makes the rules. But yeah, Islam is right about the women is the final strike against Tatari. Yes. I'd rather have a small but active community than a large community with the problems that brings. All right, so let's see what warming up we got here, because we got a couple of news which I found to be quite interesting. We got, I generally asked, and I posted this on Twitter, and a lot of Jewish people responded. Why isn't the ADL cracking on this person that's creating anti Semitism? Because let's be honest, this is what they do, right? It's getting to a point where it's even becoming a meme. It's the if you Google "dear fellow white people" meme, you will find it. It's not all Jews. It's not most of the Jews. It's just a very small minority of Jews that happen to have blue check marks. And these are people from the academia that are fighting against racism. These are people from prestigious far left journalist outlets, and they always do this. So what does the tactic entail? They will say, well, as a fellow white man or as a fellow Catholic or Christian or whatever, we need to do better, right? So they identify as being part of the majority, which is fine. Like, I got nothing against that. But then they say, like, we as the majority have to behave in a certain way. And then people point out, it's like, dude, why aren't you behaving in this way? You just advocated for white people to check their privilege. Why aren't you, as a white person, checking your privilege? And they were going to go, it's like, oh, I'm Jewish. So it's, this type of behavior on Twitter, this antisocial behavior where you lecture other people, you become a very annoying person, telling other people how to live their lives. And when someone else is saying, well, why don't you live life the way you preach? It's like, oh, I don't have to do that because I am part of a protected class. This causes animosity. I have read the comment sections. Every time this happens, a lot of people are pissed off. And one of the interesting comments that I got from this were from actual Jewish people. saying that this type of behavior increases negativity towards Jews. But there was also someone that said something which I found to be interesting. Let me see if I can find it. Someone actually said that this type of anti-Semitism is going to get them killed one day. I think it's an exaggeration, but I have seen a lot of people being legitimately pissed off. Like this type of behavior needs to be called out. It's not helpful. It's definitely not helpful. It definitely creates anti-Semitism, and it's something that doesn't even need to be done. Like it's not, you don't have to tell other people how to live their lives. Just shut the fuck up and mind your own business. But Peter Edwards gave me 10 Californians, insult, fine, and an apology from Canada for Trudeau. All right. Let's talk about Trudeau. I'm going to make a video about it. I was supposed to make it today, but unfortunately, Grandpa Nurgle touched me with his appendix, and I got the sniffles. Here's what I don't understand. Why is it, and this is a legitimate question, right? Like a lot of people thought that I'm asking this as a joke, but no, I'm legitimately asking this as a question. Because I want to understand, being from a country that doesn't have the culture that the United States used to have, to me it's a little bit bewildering. So let me see if I can find the question which I asked. I believe it was yesterday, and it got a lot of replies on Twitter as well. But the question is as follows: why is it that if a white person puts on a blackface, it's racist, but if a man portrays himself as a woman, is not sexist? And a lot of people were upset about the question. Some of them were like laughing about it, but very few people could answer to me why this is a thing. This is unironically what the trans exclusionary radical feminists believe. They believe that if a man tries to act like a woman, tries to portray himself like a woman, then it is the epitome of misogyny. This is the patriarchy sending its far-right agents in order to take down, feminism. Now, regarding the race thing, this is what I understand, is that because of historical context in America, where you had, I believe the first ever case was a movie made by a Jewish person, played by Jewish people. And the reason it's interesting is because of the theme that the movie has, because otherwise I wouldn't mention the ethnicity. The theme was about a Orthodox Jew who leaves his family because he doesn't get along with his father and goes into Broadway, where he is offered a job and paints his face black and starts singing jazz. Okay, this is like the first movie, the first ever, I guess historical blackface that we get to see on the cinema. So I don't understand why exactly like actors use masks of all sorts, but I guess like the argument is like, why not just hire a black guy? But like it wouldn't fit the role. Like the role from the movie was that the guy who was an Orthodox Jew is going into Broadway and is now facing a completely different culture from different Jewish people that weren't as religious as the family that he came from, and he is forced to do something that he doesn't like. Okay, so where is the racism? Like, okay, it's a movie that is, I don't get it. Maybe there is some racism there. Anyway, I understand that when something is offensive, everyone is to be offended, right? Like, if I don't get offended, then there is a problem with me, right? Like, I'm a despicable human being because I don't get offended. But when it's about jokes, then it's the other way around, right? Like, jokes need to be inclusive. Jokes need to be protecting marginalized people or things like that. But anyway, right, so let's talk about this whole thing with blackface. Let's assume that it is indeed the most racist thing ever. Now, this was done 10 years ago, right? Like 10 years in the past, this happened, and 10 years in the past, apparently it was fine. Like, people at the time didn't get outraged, people at the time didn't complain. I understand there were black people at the party who had no issue with it. So, like, why are you bringing it up now? Well, I know why they're bringing it up, because of the whole cancel culture, right? Like, it's trendy to do this offense archaeology, this offense necromancy, where you dig up the past in order to find the offensive stuff that was said. So, like, because Justin Trudeau wasn't speaking up until today, I generally don't care. I don't care if he's getting fucked. Like, this is your standards. This is the culture that you created. You could have been spoken out against it up till now. And I don't understand about all these people who, like, it's impossible that he didn't read in the news when someone else was being canceled for something similar, right? These people are always quiet. Like, why don't they come out and say, no, that's ridiculous, okay? Like, even if you rape a woman 10 years ago, you have statute of limitations in many countries, and you get off scot free for two reasons. Number one, it's considered that you lived with the guilt throughout all this time, and number two, it's very difficult to provide evidence, to find witnesses, to make up a case over something that happened 10 years ago, unless you're an artist like Kavanaugh, who actually had calendars and wrote down every single detail of something which happened 30 years ago. Jesus fucking Christ, I bet they were livid when that happened. But this is the thing, like, the fact that they don't even try to find out, like, did it do it because of racism, or did it do it because it's Halloween? Like, if you dress up as a vampire, doesn't mean you're disparaging vampires. Like, if you dress up as a Romanian, it's fine. Like, I, as a Romanian, tell you, if you're a Canadian and you dress up as a Romanian, I have absolutely no issues against it. If you're a black person and white up your face in order to look white, and you pretend to be a white person, I don't care. You pretend to be Sean King by putting up some, like, that's fine. Right? But for some reason, now Trudeau is a racist because his intent. It was to belittle black people, I guess. So, no, I generally don't understand. And this is, like, again, like a country which was the end of the Underground Railway, right? Like, a lot of black people who were slaves in the United States tried to escape to Canada in order to have a better life. And Canada would allow them to come there. So, and notice how it's not black people that are upset. Like, that's another thing. Like, if you look at the percentage of people upset on the Twitter, because let's be honest, they're the real people that matter. Like, you don't actually see people on the streets protesting and being outraged about it. No, it's people on Twitter and in the media. And 80% of the people upset are white people. I just can't help to notice. Just but yeah, so blackface is deemed offensive because of actual historical use, not the same with the vampire face. So again, like, I did my history lesson to find out when was the first time someone used blackface, and it was in a Jewish movie about a Jewish guy who left his Jewish conservative parents in order to go to Broadway, and he was hired by Jewish people and asked to sing jazz while having to paint his face black. That's literally, like, the first time blackface happened. So, like, how is that racist? Why? It's a movie. But yeah, no, like, people say only Jews do blackface. Well, think about it. Like, back in the beginning of Hollywood, yeah, there were a lot of Jewish actors, and this was also due to nepotism, because a guy that knows a guy who's going to get you hired. I see nothing wrong in it, because Hollywood is a private business and all. But yeah, a lot of Jewish people use blackface because they were the actors. They were Jewish actors. And the reason they wouldn't hire black people is the same reason they wouldn't hire Romanians, because you had to know a guy to know a guy. It's just... but, yeah. People say, was it in that movie? Let me see if I can find that movie. I think it's... Then again, if I post that movie here, I'll probably get a copyright claim, huh? Or maybe I shouldn't risk showing it, because I generally don't know about the copyright strikes nowadays. You can't be too careful. You might show facts and you might get a copyright strike. But anyway, you know what? I generally don't fucking care. I don't think it's such a big deal if it happened 10 years ago. You know, like, if you were to tell me that 10 years ago he was riding with the KKK and setting fire to crosses and burning black people's home, yeah, you'd have a point. You know, but the guy went to a party and, you know, disguised himself as some Saudi Arabian prince. Whoop the fucking do. Yeah, I can't sleep at night over the horrors that he did. Uh, but anyway, right. So apparently, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You know, fuck freedom of expression. Who cares about human rights? Bleh. Dylan Killen for the kitty cats. Thank you, Dylan Killen. I really appreciate that. Do you mind if I buy a sweater with that money? Because right now I need some winter clothes. But anyway, let's talk about something actually important, because I generally don't care what the fuck Justin Trudeau did 10 years ago in his free time. Islam is right about women. Odd signs spark confusion in local town. Why are they odd? So here's the problem, right? You basically have the left. And the left has an ideology, very interesting ideology. This is how it started. Very few people probably even remember how it started. It started with the word tolerance. And I say very few people remember how it started because you will never hear the word tolerance in the mainstream media today. You're going to hear punch a Nazi, punch a white supremacist, punch a MAGA hat wearer, punch this, punch that. You're not going to hear the word tolerance anymore. You're going to hear the platform, you know, no platforming. Hey, this person is a feminist, but they don't believe that women can be transgender. This person is a transgender, but they don't believe in non-binary. Right? Like this is what it boils down to. No more tolerance. But in the beginning, there was tolerance. And the idea of tolerance was that you should allow, like, you should tolerate people with different beliefs, no matter how ridiculous those beliefs are. And we do have bigots, which are usually white Christians, and these are the most bigoted people of all. We're not going to have tolerance for them, because we can't be tolerated of the intolerant. But we're going to be tolerated of every other religion, right? Everything that's not Christianity is double plus good. Islam, perfect. Islam is okay. Now, the problem here is that I'm not even going to go into the belief system and deeply into what Islam believes about women, but I'm going to point out that it's an Abrahamic religion, just like Christianity, right? It's a religion of the book. And all religions of the book do not consider men and women to be equal. They consider the man to be the chief of the household and the woman to be subservient to him. And these levels of subservience differs between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. I don't even think I need to explain this. Like, everyone knows, right? Like, religion, conservatism goes hand in hand. Religious people back in time in 1200 were very progressive. Like, they weren't very, you know, for human rights and stuff. Like, no. So, you now have a movement, the left, which believes that, you know, women who sit at home and become housewives and cook dinner are women that are oppressed. Women that go and find a job at McDonald's and slave for the corporate clown cock, those are enriched, free women, you know, coming home after a 12-hour shift with bags on their eyes. That's the type of woman they want. They want, you know, the women that go hard to work for minimum wage, come home and pay little taxes. And pay a lot of taxes. That's the type of woman that is free, empowered, you know, takes her destiny into her own hands. Meanwhile, someone like Penny from The Big Bang Theory, who apparently makes $1 million per episode, but she also claims that she likes to cook for her husband and do the house chores. She has internalized misogyny. Right? So this is what the left believes. The right, the Islam, which is a right wing if you think about it, it's conservative by definition. It believes the fact that women should be good housewives. They even believe that a man has the right to marry more than one woman in some cases, and you know, women don't have the same rights as men. When it comes to complaining about rape, women need to prove that they have been raped by bringing several witnesses. When it comes to inheritance, women don't have the same right as men, right? So you obviously have two ideologies that are butting heads. and no one wants to talk about it, right? Like the way the left deals with this issue is pretending not to talk about it. The way Islam deals with this issue, they don't talk about it because right now, their goals seem to align themselves by pushing away traditional, I guess, European and European colonies values. And once they're done with that, maybe they can settle their differences. But at the moment, they work fine with each other. So when you put a poster saying Islam is right about women, you're in a conundrum because the left has defended Islam time and time again. Like even when the Charlie Hebdo massacres were on, I remember back then the left and the Catholic Pope and Islam did this unholy alliance, basically saying that while it wasn't okay that the people at Charlie Hebdo got shot, it was not okay for them to mock a religion. All right, like you shouldn't criticize and mock religions. So basically, what they were saying is that the terrorists were right, but the sentence was a little bit off. That's what I got from the vibe, during those conversations. The left also, when there were terrorist attacks in Europe, they would say, I understand the victims are suffering, but the real victims here are going to be the families of innocent Muslims and stuff like that. Like that type of rhetoric that did just apology for Islam. Now, if you look at the history of criticizing Islam, it started with being disrespectful to call a Muslim a terrorist, right? Like you go in an airplane, you see a guy with a turban, and you immediately assume they're a terrorist. And I get that, like that is kind of fucked up, like I generally understand. All right. But then it moved from that into not being able to criticize people. So like when Boris Johnson says that women with burqa are letterboxes, that is way over the line, that is way uncalled for, blah, blah, blah. And now it's moving towards being unable to even remotely criticize Islam as an ideology. So in Britain, there was a guy who said Islam is questionable, wrote it on his house. He got arrested for several weeks. So you're not allowed to say anything negative about Islam. Jacob Rees-Mogg, another British right-winger, said that there is no place for people that criticize Islam in British society. I mean, it's cut and dry, right? Like it's blatant. You're not allowed to criticize it. So when you post something like Islam is right about women, you either agree with it, and thus you're a misogynist because you believe that a woman's place is at least in the kitchen, at least, like depending, like even the most liberal Muslim possible, is still going to have conservative values. Like he's not going to be this very progressive, open-minded individual, because otherwise he's not religious, right? Like it's an Abrahamic religion. It's still based on the Abrahamic faith. Like anything that the left complains about right-wingers applies to Muslims because it's, again, they're religious people. So if you say this, you're a sexist. But if you say, no, I disagree, Islam isn't right about women, well, then that makes you an Islamophobe. Because you're questioning Islam. So apparently there are confusion. Like, what is the confusion? Like, I thought this was always, obvious. Like, so in Winchester Sire reads, Islam was right about women. Has residents scratching their heads to figure out what exactly the poster meant by those words. Winchester police and upset residents. Like, why were they upset? It's just a statement. Do you agree or disagree with it? You're upset because it highlights the hypocrisy. You're upset because you realize you can't have the conversation about this, so you need to shut the fuck up and just be angry about it. So they spent a good part of their Wednesday afternoon removing signs. Now, I don't know if they removed the sign because, it's illegal to put signs up. There are certain cities that have these regulations, or, they generally are against free speech. They do not agree with what the sign says. Because if you were to place a sign, I don't know, socialism is the best shit ever, maybe those wouldn't get removed. But anyway, so, while offensive to some, again, like, why is it offensive? So, people who find this offensive are Islamophobes, I guess. Police said that while it's technically illegal to post anything on a street sign, It's a tough law to enforce due to freedom of speech, and because the signs in question aren't threatening, police say it's like posting a sign about the lost cat. So if that's the case, Mr. Police Officer, why are you removing them? Like you said, it's a tough law to enforce, but I see you're actually spending police resources in order to remove these signs. Now, I get it, if you put the sign right on I guess on a traffic post, like one-way street, and you cover that up, then yeah, no, that's obvious, but I don't see that to be the case. It seems that they were posted basically like, a lost cat or something like that. I assume it's negative. That's not cool. That's not a cool thing to do. They're really angry, but they can't articulate why. This is the state that I like leftists to be in. It's very easy to put them in this state where they're angry because they know you got one on them, but they can't just explain why. And they don't. In this case, they can't even call you anything. Like, what do they call you? A sexist, an Islamophobe, a racist? Like, what is the label they're supposed to use? They don't know. They're bewildered. They're mind fucked. So I think somebody just wanted this to happen, right? Oh wow, a big brain here. Yeah, someone put it up a sign and they wanted the conversation to happen. To get some kind of response, the sign itself is confusing. It is subject to interpretation. Well, tell you what how you can unconfuse it, right? Like, this is how you can unconfuse this, even if you don't believe me, right? Let's say you don't believe me. Go to any mosque you want. Pick one. Better yet. This is how you do. Take all the names of the mosques in your town, write them on a piece of paper, okay? Put them in a hat, spin it, and then pick one up. And that is the mosque you will go. And ask to speak with the imam. And ask the imam from that mosque, what is Islam's view regarding women? Right? And then you get to understand what the sign means, right? Because I'm uneducated. Clearly, I'm not an Islamic scholar. I can't come here to tell you, what. I mean, I can give you my uneducated opinion, but I will never be at the same level as someone who actually studies this shit for his life. So this is what you need to do, right? Like, go to one of these people, ask them, get yourself educated, and then, compare that with your values about what women should be. Like what British people think women should do in society. Right? And I think like British people believe women can do anything in society, right? In fact, you need to have affirmative action in certain cases to promote more women to go in STEM. Women can do anything. According to Google, women can fly. Let's see if according to the imam, women can fly. Huh? Maybe they can. I don't know. Like let me see if Google still believes that women can fly. Let's go back to Google here. And type in women can. Type women can into the search engine. Women can. So we got women can fly. They can. Let's see if the imam believes this. Women can do anything. I don't know. Again, like I should. In Romania, we don't have mosques. If I was in London, I would legitimately videotape this. I would go to a mosque, ask to speak with an imam that wants to talk to me, and record the conversation. Ask them like, what is Islam's views on women? Because I'm a little bit of kafirish today. I feel kind of kafirish. Don't really understand the subject matter. I'm not very educated. And then I'll ask him like, can women fly? Can women do anything? Can women do it? I don't know if he's educated to tell me about women cancer, but usually religious people feel that they know anything about the secrets of the universe. So maybe he can tell me a little bit about them as well. I got 20. What are the Indian money called? Huh? 20 caste money. What caste are you from, Kill It Dogma? I'm legitimately curious. Foxwood, $5. Thank you, Foxwood. What your view of Steam might hit EU because game resale? What? Can you put that in English, please? What is my view, I guess, of Steam? I don't understand. Rupees. Rupee. Okay. See, I like the Romanian currency more. It's called lions. That is literally like a currency. And I want to show you why the lion, the Romanian lion, is actually better than any English money that you got. Give me a second so I can bring some Romanian money here. Just give me a second while I go find my wallet. Alright, I found my wallet. And I want to show you why Romanian currency is a lot better than whatever you guys have, right? Because I went to London, and I swear to God, I'm going to make this into a video on my main channel, right? Because this is legitimately pissing me off, right? So every now and then, I realize that once a year I need to travel because when you're a YouTuber, you don't really have expenses. Like, you just video clip yourself and that's it. But when you're traveling, like I can legitimately say I'm going to London to film there, and I actually do that. And then I get some tax cuts for it, right? But when I go in London and I see the paper money, which is very similar to the dollar, I generally don't know what the fuck you guys are doing. Alright, so I'm going to show you. Let me look at the wallet that I got. This is what I got from the London Bazaar. From I believe it was like £5 or something. So this is Romanian money, right? It's impossible to actually make this thing break in two. Like you actually need to get a scissor in order to get this thing to no, you can't tear it. It's unfucking terrible, right? Do you understand this shit? Why can't you do this with your own money? Every time I get a pound, I need to treat it like it's something sacred because I'm afraid that if it fucking breaks, then I'm not going to get the shopper to accept this. Like, look at it. You can do literally whatever you want with it, right? And it just pops back in its initial form. Like, this is good quality money. It's not made out of fucking toilet paper that you can actually wipe your ass with. No, it's actually something good that you can put in your pocket, and you know it's going to stay there, and the next day you're going to find it again. And every single, Romanian banknote is the same. And yes, they're also waterproof. I don't know if they're made from plastic or some shit, but they're definitely resistant. Like, the only way to cut this money, which is actually illegal in my country, but I don't think like you're going to be prosecuted if you cut one low, is either you burn it or you get a pair of scissors, and even then it's difficult. Like, you need a really sharp scissor in order to cut this money. By the way, I highly recommend people to buy this. This is absolutely amazing. Like, every single gamer has this mark on its hand, right? But when you have this, it's much more comfortable. Like, unless you're playing some, very competitive game, it's really relaxing. All I'm saying, it's like it's got very ergonomic pillows that you can benefit from. There we go. PewDiePie actually suggested that I should buy that. My cat also loves it. Like, my cat just goes into it and puts its claws and starts crack, 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 and I'm like, oh no. People like the one with two B's ass, huh? Someone was actually telling me that I don't speak a lot about tits anymore. So I guess there you go, huh? You can't get more ergonomic than this. Unfortunately, I still use this because as comfortable as this is, as amazing as this shit is, and by the way, it's not just that it's comfortable. Like, on this part, it's sticky. It actually sticks. So you're not going to have the problem with it falling off of your table or some shit. It's very small, unfortunately, so you don't get the proper movement. Why is it sticky? Because it's designed to be sticky, Alex. Pink CEO, hey babe. I think that last super chat was asking about Steam possibly leaving the European Union market or something because of EU legislation for needing game resale. I'm unaware of that, but I don't think like Steam will leave the European Union. What I do know is that a lot of journalists, video game journalists, and some game developers, they really really love what's it called? God damn it, it's on the top of my lips. The Chinese shit. What is the Chinese shit called? See, I'm getting old. I'm getting Alzheimer. Holy fuck. Epic Game Store. Jesus. All right. So a lot of journalists really love the Epic Game Store, and the reason is that if you look at where the money is going, the Chinese government is donating quite a bit to some of these publications, and AAA developers, because Epic Game Store gives them like a bigger cut or some shit. And it is trendy to hate Steam, and they also hate Steam because of ideological reasons. Number one, that Steam doesn't censor the comment sections, right? Like, you can post whatever you want there, well, in some sort of limit. But it also allows you to refund the game, and they hate it. Like, the journalist absolutely went into a mental breakdown when Steam allowed to refund games, because now you would purchase Gone Home, you play it for 1 hour, you don't like it, and you get your money back. So, but they don't understand the good that Steam did. Like, Steam actually got people to stop pirating. So I remember when I was a kid, I was saving money like every day. I was traveling 10 kilometers to school in order to save the bus fare money so that I can get enough cash in order to buy Warcraft 3, to have a city key for Warcraft 3 in order to play online. Now, apparently, when Steam came out, a lot of people that were pirating before now started purchasing video games. And they purchased it because, number one, it was very convenient. Like, you could go to your high school, you install Steam account on a computer, and you can download the games that you have at home, and you can play them either during breaks or when the computer science class was on. You could get achievements, you could get, a list of friends that you can talk to. So actually Steam, and I firmly believe this, cracked down on piracy a lot. Another good thing that Steam did is that it allowed developers to set different prices to Eastern Europe than Western Europe. Because in Western Europe, people have money. In Eastern Europe, when you had a wage of like $100 per month back in the year 2005 or some shit, how were you able to afford, to purchase a $50 game? Like, legitimately, you couldn't, right? So Steam allowed people from Eastern Europe to purchase cheaper games than people in Western Europe. And now the European Union is bitching and saying, no, you're not allowed to treat differently. You treat us all as a block. And what's going to happen is you're going to see in Eastern Europe the prices increase to be the same like Western Europe, because they're not going to make like Western Europe cheaper, let's be honest. And this is going to end up in, like people going back to pirating. They do not think of the actual secondary consequences that their laws and regulations bring. But whatever. Why are Europeans ashamed of their own nations? Because they learn it in high school to be ashamed of their own nations. Depends. Like, Eastern Europeans aren't ashamed, but the more you go towards the West, you are. Like, apparently in Britain, you are taught shame about the British Empire. In Germany, you're taught shame about the Nazis. Like that's why. I don't know what to talk about Area 51 because I haven't read a single article about it. Let me just Google it. I know that Facebook deleted their webpage at one point, so let's go on the BBC and see human stupidity in action. And I don't even think it's stupidity, because at this point it's just a meme, like people are having fun doing it. I think even Hillary Clinton said that if she gets elected, she's going to reveal what is going on in Area 51. But, let's assume that Area 51 legitimately has aliens, right? For sure, like you would know. Well, if you're going to announce you're going to send people there, aren't they going to just move the aliens somewhere else? And secondly, even if you have a mountain of people, if there's like an elevator that goes underground and has like one of those beep 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 keypads, what are you going to do, So the small US town of Rachel and Hicko, near the highly secret Area 51 facility in Nevada, are bracing themselves for a influx of visitors. So the idea is they can't stop all of us, no, but they can ban you from Facebook. What do we know about Area 51? It refers to a map location and is the popular name for United States Air Force Base in Nevada desert, 85 miles north of Las Vegas. What goes on inside is extremely secret. Members of the public are kept away by warning signs, electronic surveillance, and armed guards. If it's an Air Force base and they're developing the new, stealth technology for the new super fucking plane that costs $7 trillion, yeah, I kind of guess they want to keep that secret. It is also illegal to fly over the area, which obviously you can see from satellite. But anyway, the facility is next to two other restricted military areas, the Nevada test site, where US nuclear weapons are tested, and the Nevada test and training range. I don't care why it was built, but something to do with the USSR. What goes on here today? Although official information is sparse, it is believed that the United States military continues to use Area 51 to develop cutting-edge aircraft. Around 1,500 people are believed to work there, many commuting on charter flights from Las Vegas. Sorry about that. Grandfather Nurgle still hates me. As I mentioned, my biggest mistake was to give away all of my winter clothes for needy people without thinking that winter is going to arrive again. Annie Jacobson, who has written about the history of Area 51, told the BBC that some of the world's most advanced espionage programs are at the site. So the research began with the U-2 spy plane and now moved on to drones. The secrecy surrounding the site has helped fuel many conspiracy theories. Most famous sites host to alien spacecraft and the bodies of its pilots. After they crashed in Roswell, the US government says there were no aliens and the crash craft was a weather balloon. Why would they not just admit that there are aliens? I never understood this. The secrecy. It's just okay. There's aliens. Others claim that it's going to start a panic. Really, would you start screaming if you heard that there are aliens that are coming to Earth? Would it panic you that hard? I wonder if Indians were trying to keep a secret that white people are, the conquistadors are coming to the new lands. We need to keep up panic. Others claim to have seen UFOs above or near the site, while some say they have been abducted by aliens. Or they had anal probes put in it. Let me show you guys something interesting, right? I wonder how many people know about this. It's called the Battle of Los Angeles. It's when the aliens brought down socialism upon the city of Los Angeles. So, look at this. Isn't it the most beautiful thing you can see? It's from the Los Angeles Times. Searchlights and anti-aircraft guns combed the skies during alarm. So apparently the Battle of Los Angeles, the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, is the name given by contemporary sources to the rumored attack by Japan and subsequent anti-aircraft artillery barrage, which took place from February 24th during World War II. Sorry, after the World War II. So the whole thing is they saw lights on the sky, which they couldn't really figure out what they are. So they started opening fire on them. And no one knows what happened, because apparently the Japanese denied sending any air force. No one in the area sent any air force. The interesting thing is that the states around Los Angeles didn't pick up any airplanes going towards LA. So this is really interesting. A photo published by the LA Times has been cited by some ufologists and conspiracy theorists as part of evidence of an extraterrestrial visitation. They said that the photo clearly shows searchlights focused on alien spaceship. However, the photo was heavily modified by photo retouching, blah, blah, blah. If the publicity campaign wanted to establish UFO research as nothing but lies and fakery, it couldn't have done a better job. But here's the interesting part, right? What if they were actually aliens and they just opened fire at them with their World War II technology? Wouldn't that be funny? When I was working with NATO, we used to joke Romanian money is basically monopoly money. Dude, monopoly money you can actually break, you can actually destroy. You can't destroy Romanian money. In Germany, you are even thought shame about being German because according to the public, Germany history starts in 1933. There was no Germany before. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this self-loathing comes from the universities and the schooling system. What would happen if the aliens came to Romania first? I mean, I generally don't know. Like, here's the thing: throughout human history, when an advanced civilization meets a less advanced civilization, it never ends any way good. So if aliens would actually come to Earth, depends what would they want. Would they want resources? Are they just tourists? Like they definitely not. They're probably not interested in having like an alliance with the Earthlings. It's apparently there's rumors about UFOs in Antarctica. Huh? So are there aliens and flying saucers at 51? The security surrounding 51 has helped fuel many conspiracy theories. Blah blah blah. And in 1989, a man named Robert Lazar claimed he had been working on alien technology inside Area 51. He claimed to have been medical photographs of aliens and that the government used his facility to examine UFOs. You know what's interesting about these conspiracy theories? Like, I remember seeing one, and there was like this Canadian, I believe he was a colonel, retired colonel, and he went there and he was talking about, how his government actually works with aliens and stuff. And I was thinking, like, why would someone like that risk his reputation? Like, what does he have to gain by risking his reputation? It's just really weird. So if people storm Area 51, it's going to be a possible humanitarian disaster. No, I don't think it's going to be like there is absolutely no way they're going to open fire on the civilians. They might, however, use tear gas, rubber bullets, area denial sound systems. Like all these types of things that people use for riot control. But I genuinely do not think they will open fire on American citizens. Like I would be absolutely bewildered if this was the case. Um, but when is this thing going to happen? Huh? They should do this while dressed as aliens. I'm sure some of them will. Uh, yes, they would be. Well, you know what? Anarcho autism. I'm willing to bet money they won't. Like I am willing to put cold hard cash that they will not open fire on the civilians. Oh, it's happening today. Let me check to see if there is an actual. Let me check Storm Area 51. Maybe this is how can. Area 51 raid live updates. So alien hunters are arriving near 51 after a viral craze. A variety of events are taking place to mark this weekend, including music festivals and location. But some people appear to be committed to at least getting close to the base's famous military gates. So 1 hour ago, bookmakers are sending out press releases indicating that they'll give you a 5-to-1 price on alien life being discovered today. Seems to not be a very good price to me, especially given the Storm Area 51 event already happened, and as far as we know, no aliens were discovered. But if you had real faith that something else is coming, perhaps you can put your money where your mouth is. About 75 people gathered at the 51 gate, according to the Associated Press. At least 2 were detained by the sheriff deputies. This morning, the reaction online seems largely to be shocked that anyone actually turned up overnight. They didn't storm anything, but getting close to the gate is hard work. I saw a video, a GIF of someone actually going past the fence. If you're just joining us, here's a rough summary of the night event, which was like a traditional ADM festival. So basically, exactly what I said is going to happen at Nothing Burger. No sane individual is going to risk their their liberty and all of this, because trespassing on a military base is big shit. You do get I think it's a felony, so no one wants to risk their freedom over some stupid stunt to run like Naruto. Apparently, like, one woman tried to cross, she was detained. the scene is absolutely surreal. No, so what happened about this is basically like people going there and partying and having fun, dressing up like this. But all in all, seems like it was a fun event. But it didn't end up with the actual storming, which again shows that Facebook taking down their website is just fear mongering and reactionary shit. Yeah, pretty much another Burning Man. Exactly. Exactly that. People have been trying to storm Area 51 for years and they get shot. It's like, well, it's different when one person does it and you can't compare the past. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find out about the Haymarket, which is why we actually celebrate Workers' Day. Now, if you don't know, Workers' Day is an event where the police open fire on a couple of communists. And for some reason, it's viewed as a big thing. So this happened in America, in the Haymarket. One of the communists threw a Molotov on the police, or a bomb, I forgot exactly what. Exploded, and the police opened fire in the crowd and killed a lot of people. But you need to understand, this is how they used to put down riots back in the day. Like, back in the day, and we're not talking like 1,000 years ago, right? We're talking like 100 years ago. If you had a riot, they would shoot you. Like, there was no tear gas, there was no water cannons, there was no, they would shoot you. Like, they would light it up, open fire, now we don't do that. So, maybe back in the day, someone trying to storm Area 51, yeah, they would get shot. But now with this, no, it's you're never going to see it ever again. Now, this is why, to me, it's funny when I see someone going at a riot, they go like, oh, I got gassed, oh, I got tear gas, the pepper spray. It's like, yeah, well, you didn't get shot, did you? Being thankful, like your grandfather would actually go there. And can you imagine how desperate people were back then? If knowing they can get shot, they would still go and protest? Back in the day, you mean a year ago? I don't know. Papek Tacris, these are more realistic and very. By the way, question. Is Gabriel Montriul in the site? Because I want to give him a homework. If not, if anyone is good with video editing, if you can contact me on the Twitter, I have a really good skit that I want you to make for me with the CEO of YouTube and the quartering. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. But I need someone that can put faces on, So make sure that if you're interested, you're contacting me. Yeah, Area 51 has some very racist walls around it, doesn't it? Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Again, I want to thank the donators, Kubusk7, Sarah J. Jacobson, the Pink CEO, Living John, Foxy Wood, Peter Edwards, and everyone else. I'm going to go drink a hot cup of tea now and hopefully get some rest and recuperation. Much needed recuperation. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching and have a good day.